So I am a third-generation nurse, and my mother and grandmother are so proud of me, up in heaven, are so proud of me right now that I've been asked to give a commencement speech at a nursing graduation. I just love the energy in the room right now. In the course of my work, I often get a chance to meet with virtual safety attendants or telesitters, and that's not an RN job, it's an entry-level job into healthcare. And many of them are thinking about pursuing a nursing degree. And I love telling them that it took me 7 years to pay my way through nursing school and working as a patient sitter. But there's a world of possibilities when you become a nurse. And my nursing career really has exceeded my wildest dreams. And today I just want to share 3 big lessons that I've learned along the way. My first one is manifest a long-term goal for yourself, but at the same time, be open to different possibilities as they present themselves. If you want to exceed your expectations for your nursing career, start by setting a long-term aspiration and give voice to it. Say it out loud. You might be thinking, this is a great start to a commencement speech, set goals. But I'm here to challenge you that nurses are not always the best at that. We are interested in nursing and driven to be nurses because we have caring and compassionate that drives us. But you can also be compassionate and ambitious at the same time. I have a very good friend and colleague, Sylvain Tepinier. He knew he wanted to be the chief nursing officer of the hospital when he was in nursing school. And he said that out loud. And with that being his goal, it drove him to work extra hard and also influenced his decision to move to the US from Canada for his first nursing job. And by the time he was in his 30s, he was a chief nurse of a hospital. And right now, he is the system chief nurse for Providence Health System, responsible for 38,000 nurses practice over 7 states. I often hear nurse leaders who say, I never wanted to be a leader, it just happened to me. And that's okay, but it's also okay to know that you want to be a leader and say that. Not only is it okay, it's effective. So if you want a career that exceeds your expectations, set a long-term aspiration. It will propel you forward. I had a long-term career aspiration when I was in your shoes. I wrote down my 5-year plan to be a certified nurse anesthetist by the time I was 30. But then when I started working, I fell in love with the intensive care unit, not the operating room. So I shifted I decided to pursue and got a master's degree in nursing as an acute care nurse practitioner by the time I was 30. My new ambition was to be an advanced practice provider in the intensive care unit. But the opportunities that actually came my way was to be a clinical nurse specialist and magnet program director. Those 2 roles were very fulfilling and prepared me for what was to come. But my most important, I think, pivot that occurred in my career happened from serendipity, from sort of chance, which is where a lot of innovations come from. It was 2008, and I was working in a hospital in Grand Rapids, and we were building a new tower. And we wanted to be futuristic, and we wanted to have virtual care in every room. So we installed a camera, microphone, speaker, infrared light. But we opened the hospital in 2009, and there was a huge recession that happened between that time. And the leaders in the health system said, we can't do our original plan. Lisbeth, can you think of something that we could do with this technology that we already have in the patient rooms? And we discovered that telemetry techs could get to know patients over video and start to recognize before they fall risk patients and stop them from falling before they did. But it was staffed by cardiac telemetry techs who had a lot of other responsibilities, and it was having trouble getting funding to staff that. So one day, I literally chased our chief financial officer down the hall, and I said, I have an idea. I think that instead of using these 1-to-1 sitters that we were using, I think we could do that virtually and do it 1-to-12 and have better outcomes. So he suggested I try to find some funding and do research. And I The entrepreneur and the founder of the company that put the cameras in funded my research. I published that in a nursing journal and proved that virtually you could keep patients safe. Today, I'm the chief clinical officer of that company 15 years later, and we're in 1,100 hospitals across the United States and Canada. If you want a career that exceeds your dreams, be open to side streets that might take you even further than your original plan. Lesson number 2 is a really important one, and maybe this should have been the first lesson. Take care of yourself. You all know how hard you work to get here, and only you know what self-care means for you. And I'm not talking about that old put your oxygen on before you help someone else. Self-care is not about only when you're in a crisis like a plane crash. It's something that you have to do every day to enable you to care for patients, and not only enable you to do that, but to do it better. For me personally, sobriety is the foundation of my self-care. Nurses and healthcare professionals are just as vulnerable to substance use disorder as anyone else. In 2017, I was appointed by the Michigan Board of Nursing to serve as the nursing representative for the Health Professional Recovery Committee. And we are fortunate in this state to have HPRP, which is a program that supports health professionals who are struggling with mental health or substance use issues that may have caused major consequences for them. In preparing for this talk tonight, I found the letter that I wrote 8 years ago to the Michigan Board of Nursing expressing my interest in HPRP. And I'm going to read you a part of it. I'm writing to express my interest in becoming the nursing board's representative to the Health Professionals Recovery Committee. I've attached my CV, which describes my educational and professional background, including 20+ years of experience in nursing. But for the purpose of this appointment, I have something else to add, which is not disclosed in my CV. I am myself a person in recovery. This has given me a deeper perspective on addiction and recovery. In my years as a bedside nurse, I cared for a lot of patients suffering from alcoholism and addiction. Many of these patients were hospitalized repeatedly. I think I was always a compassionate and non-judgmental nurse, but I certainly did not have a lot of hope of recovery for these individuals. Although my personal story does not include legal problems or issues with my RN license, I did come to realize that I had a drinking problem I could not manage without help. I found the wonderful recovery community in Grand Rapids and now enjoy a sober life. Several times a week, I attend 12-step meetings with people like my former patients who show me how years of sobriety can transform lives. Because of my experience in recovery, I now have so much more hope for those suffering from addiction. I owe a debt of gratitude and will welcome the opportunity to give back by supporting HPRP as the nursing representative. In response to this letter, I was unanimously voted by the Board of Nursing to represent nurses on HPRP, which I did for 4 years. For me, recovery is one of the most important ways I care for myself and has made me a better nurse. If you want a career that exceeds your dreams, it is mandatory to take good care of yourself, however that looks for you. Lesson number 3, the final lesson, know your value. I don't know if you all see that poll the Gallup poll comes out every year. Nurses are the most trusted profession, but our influence does not match that. Knowing your value means you take the microphone, you publish when you gain knowledge, you take your seat at the boardroom table, you ask for that promotion, you don't shrink away from political activism, and you get fairly compensated for your work. I'm very fortunate that my value has been recognized. My career has been so rewarding, and it's not over yet. If you want a career that exceeds your dreams, you have to know that you deserve it. I'd like to leave you with this quote from Marianne Williamson that I first heard at a Trinity Health Leadership Retreat many years ago. You may have heard it before, but please hear it now and think of it for yourself personally, But please think of it for the profession, for our profession, our humble, too humble, sometimes profession of nursing. And here it is. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in all of us. It's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So now go and craft the nursing career beyond your wildest dreams.